My name's Zach Moyer and this is Paul Duff, and we've been meeting on Tuesdays to make music together for the last few months now. So my role in the project is that I'm the producer and the mentor, and what that really means is I've been in charge of working with Paul from day one right up until today, which is the studio day, helping him develop the way that he approaches music making, helping him learn a little bit about the technology that allows him to make music in this way, and then to see it right through to today, which is the studio day, and really oversee everything that he's done and what the Digital Quartet have layered on top of his music. So the project's called Layers because this is the way that we'd always talked about it with Paul when we were building the piece. So that was both reflected in the technology we were using, but also the approach that we took to making the music was about stacking things on top of each other and figuring out how things relate to one another once they're stacked on top of each other.
This project is an exciting partnership between Drake Music Scotland and Zach Moore and Gary Boyle. We are working together because Drake Music Scotland has an ensemble, the Digital Ensemble, and we are always looking for opportunities for them to learn more about sort of professional opportunities to perform and record music.
So when I was first introduced to Paul, I was introduced to him as someone who's doing a music technology course, and he's really interested in how you can use computers and technology to create music and to help you perform music. So it was really fun. The first time we met, actually, Paul, you had told me that that was the type of music you were into. So what we did was we just sat and we played some music, we listened to some tracks, and what was really interesting right away is as soon as we started listening to a track, you started moving in your chair, didn't you? And actually the sound of Paul's chair when he moves in it is really interesting. So when we were playing the music and we were listening to some different tracks, Paul was rocking rhythmically in his chair along with it. And we both heard the fact that the chair was making sound on top of the music. So we kind of developed an approach whereby we started by sampling the sound of that chair. We recorded the sound and we looped it. And actually that turned out to be this loop. This is the sound of Paul moving in his chair. And that was really the basis for what we decided to do, wasn't it, Paul? So the other thing that Paul was really interested in was having a shot on the guitar, so he did that, and again he played the guitar for a while along with the track that he'd created, and we cut and sampled the pieces that he liked particularly, and again used this idea of building things up with loops, layering things on top of one another to create interesting rhythmic and harmonic textures. In that same session actually Paul was interested in having a go at singing, and the most interesting thing happened in that he didn't sing in the way that you might expect. What he did was he took the microphone, put it very, very close to his face, and did what could really only be described as beatboxing. And the sound that came out was incredible. We got this really raspy, rhythmic, beatboxing, percussive sound. And this is a mixture of Paul hitting the microphone with his hands, but also having the microphone so close to his face that it was distorting. And as soon as we had that, really, what we did was we started putting it into the computer and started working out ways that you could use the sound that you had either played or captured. So we used a program called Ableton Live, and actually we were able to use this interesting surface called a Launchpad with the program, and that meant that Paul was able to trigger it by touching these small coloured pads. So taking this slightly different approach to making music and building on your music technology that you're learning about, you were able to sample the sounds, create some of the sounds, and then actually what was really cool about it is you were able to use the Launchpad to start performing and arranging how you wanted the sounds to actually come across. come to the studio with what could essentially be described as backing tracks, which was the loops and samples that we'd created. We met with the Digital Ensemble, we said these are the tracks that we've been working on, we'd like you to add some other sounds.
The Digital Ensemble is a small group of musicians who meet on a weekly basis to create new music and performances by young disabled musicians. Today we've got 5 musicians recording with us. Rona Smith is using iPad today, but she also uses a laptop. We have Stephanie, who is basically an iPad master. She's been playing iPad now with us for 2 years. And Emma and Joseph are our vocalists today. They've been doing a lot of work practicing singing and working on their vocal techniques.
I choose to make music because it's fun.
I like to make music because it makes me calm. It's rewarding for me.
And this was Stephanie, who was playing the harp. And she was really thinking about how she could add some sort of melodic shape to the music, which was otherwise quite rhythmic. So it was nice to have something high pitched that floated over the top. And we had Rona, who was playing the Rhodes patch on Thumb Jam, which is the application we were using. And again, it was just adding some more melodic interest, but also some different textures and sounds.
I would say that iPad is easier to improvise on me and the iPad. You never get the thing twice. Anyway.
The other 2 members of the Digital Ensemble that we worked with were Joseph and Emma. Now, Emma I'd worked with before on the project The Deep that we did last year. Last year she was quite timid and shy actually. She did a brilliant job, she made a lovely sound with her voice, but actually she was reluctant in some ways to really let go and give a performance. This time she's had so much experience. In between time she's done a lot more gigs, she's done a lot more recording, and actually she came in like a professional to the studio and delivered beautiful performances and came up with her own ideas and her own lines while she was improvising. So I was really impressed to see such a huge development in Emma's musicianship and confidence and performance.
I like improvising because it's really cool.
The other person was Joseph, and I'd never worked with Joseph much before, and again he was coming up with some lovely ideas and really thinking about working with Emma to create vocal textures. One particular part of the track that I think illustrates that is this part, where we've got a really beautiful blend of 2 or 3 vocal takes that were given by both of these singers.
It was harder for me because I find new places quite stressful. It's hard for me when I sing in a new place because it's quite, nerve-wracking.
Adding a layer of people improvising over the top was really interesting because it did make the music come alive in some respect. It didn't feel mechanistic, it didn't feel like it was just loops and samples. It really felt like we had musicians involved.
I liked improvising. It's challenging for me, but it's great.
I would make this kind of music again.
I would definitely come and do music like this again, definitely.
Yeah.
So this project is part of Creative Scotland's Youth Music Initiative, Access to Music Making. I think that phrase, access to music making, is really interesting because that's exactly what this is about. We've worked with a lot of bands on this project, and sometimes helping people to have access to music is just about letting them into a recording studio or giving them some help with how to work on their music or their arrangements or develop their compositional process. And that's exactly what we've done here, but we've taken a technological approach to do it. What's really interesting is we've been able to employ readily available software and interfaces and take a different approach to actually making the music that allows Paul to get involved.
Bye.